Well, the reality is, humans evolved in a very different environment than the one we live in today. We lived in an environment of scarcity. So most humans actually didn't live to reproduce. They didn't pass on their genes. They died from predation. They died from starvation. A few survived. Our ancestors. Our ancestors were the winners. Yeah. They got enough to eat. They didn't get eaten. They lived long enough to reproduce. And our bodies and our minds were perfectly designed for that environment of scarcity. So now, human beings being the innovative creatures we are, we change everything. We change the environment we live in dramatically. And now we don't live in that environment of scarcity. At least most of us don't. We live in an environment of abundance. And although we're perfectly designed for that environment of scarcity, this environment of abundance can trip us up, and it does. And it's responsible for the systematic overeating that people do that leads to the obesity, that leads to the metabolic syndrome, that leads to the vulnerability to infectious disease and the chronic degenerative diseases, the cardiovascular disease, and many of the cancers. And so that reality is why it's so difficult for people to adjust to the idea that they just can't eat as much of whatever they want and get away with it. 2/3 of people in industrialized societies are overweight or obese. If you're not fat, you're abnormal. And if you go to a physician and say you're significantly overweight and you've lost a bunch of weight, the physician doesn't immediately think, oh, you must have adopted a whole plant food diet and begun an exercise program. Their differential diagnosis is, uh-oh, this could be colon cancer, eating disorder. And so it's not even in their expectation that people are going to actually get well. You go to a physician with most of the diseases of dietary excess, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, and they're going to tell you, look, you're going to be on drugs the rest of your life. If you do what I tell you, I promise you, you'll never get well. You'll be sick forever. Because it's not in their expectation that people are going to actually recover their health. Because they're not addressing the actual reasons why they're developing the problem to begin with. They're not addressing the causes of the problem. You don't just say to an alcoholic, oh, you know how your life sucks? Oh, it's the alcohol? I had no idea. Thank you so much. I won't drink again. It doesn't quite work that way. We don't currently lie to alcoholics the same way we do lie to people, for example, that are overweight. We tell alcoholics, look, you have a particular vulnerability. You can't drink. You need to come up with a strategy each and every day that allows you to not drink. And if you can figure out how to do that, you win. But if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So the same thing is actually true in many degrees to people that are overweight. But what we tell the overweight person is, oh, just put your food on a smaller plate. Here, cut your food with a knife and put your fork down between each bite, and you won't be overweight anymore. You just need to learn to eat moderately and just eat a little bit less. For people that are suffering with obesity, for people that are suffering with these diseases of dietary excess, it would be better to avoid the chemicals that are fooling your brain